There are so many unusual effects in TF2 now. Every single update brings in at least 20 new effects spread across cosmetics and taunts, with 3 seasonal events per year adding new effects in. That's at least 60 new effects added into TF2 every single year. Which begs the question, are there too many? When the first generation of TF2 unusual effects got added into the game, there were only 14 effects that you could choose from, the most notable being Burning Flames, Scorching Flames, and Sunbeams. And these items were available on the far smaller selection of hats back then when you compare that to our hat selection of today. When the second generation of unusual effects got added into the game, they only brought with them an additional 8 effects, a tiny amount compared to what gets added per update in recent years. And since then, the collection of unusual effects available in the game on a wider range of hats has only exponentially increased as time has gone on. I worked out in 2020 throughout all of the updates that we got, 69 unusual effects were added into the game. So, are there too many? Is this bad for the game? Should we stop adding unusual effects in each update? Truth be told, I'm not completely sure. I personally have been struggling to keep up with them all as they've been added into each update. I probably couldn't even name 10 effects added in the last 3 years, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. While there have been a lot of unusual effects that I don't remember that have been added into the game, there have also been a lot of incredible effects that have been added in recent years. Treasure Trove probably being the most recent example at the time of recording. And things like Pumpkin Moon also being up there as one of my favourite recent effects. I think the amount of options that you now have in TF2, because of not just the effects being added into the game, but also the sheer amount of good cosmetics being added as well, leaves any player looking to make a loadout completely spoiled for choice. There's so many options to choose from when it comes to picking what your dream hat could be, and also the cosmetics and the taunts that go with it. You really have the potential to make something completely unique in this game, and that's amazing. But on the flip side, some players might feel completely overwhelmed with how much choice there is in the game now, especially if you're a newer player that you just don't know what all of the effects are or what anything means, or if you're just trying to get into trading, for example. There's suddenly a lot of stuff you have to look through to try and find what you like and what you don't like. Speaking of trading, I can imagine the influx of effects has not been easy on the TF2 trading community. With that many new unusuals being unboxed every single seasonal update, and trying to price some of the items or figure out what tier unusual effect that has on it, I can imagine it's been an actual nightmare. I won't lie, I am a little on the fence with how many effects are being added into the game. I obviously think that some of the effects being added in are incredible and look amazing, like I've said, but at the same time, there's so many effects that I worry it's just oversaturating this element of TF2, and in a way making unusuals a little bit less special, if that's the best way of putting it. It just felt like new unusual effects used to be a big deal. When the Robo Crate came out way back in 2013, it was super exciting to see what the new effects were because they didn't get added in as often as they do now. Granted, most of those unusuals nowadays aren't worth a whole lot because so many people unboxed them, but the feeling for me around new unusual effects just isn't the same anymore. I still appreciate them and I have a look at them all when they come out, but that excitement isn't the same for me anymore. However, I can imagine that there's a lot of newer players that are the complete opposite because these are some of the first content drops they are ever seeing in this game. And if adding new effects adds to that feeling for new players that I was feeling when I first started, then I definitely think Valve should keep adding effects and new unusuals in. One thing I was worried about is realistically how many unusual effect ideas are still out there. And if Valve is adding, 60 plus unusuals every single year, how long until all of the effects dry out? I do just think that adding 60 plus unusual effects every year might not be the most sustainable if they're going to keep doing this year after year after year. I don't think there's too many effects. I think there definitely will be once the quality starts dipping of the effects that get added into the game and we start really scraping the barrel of what is on the workshop and adding anything in to make the numbers up. I like the fact that there's a lot being added in because it gives new players a massive choice of potential unusuals that they can get. I just don't want to get to a point where every unusual effect that gets added in sucks. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and I'll see you all next time.